gotten to this point where he's released his own record and it's into the world and people are listening to it, and we woke up today and it was, on Spotify on like a really fun playlist, and people are getting to hear his music, and I'm very proud. Yeah. The CD was released Friday, and there's copies at the front door. If you want one, they're $10, and you can just put the money in a little bucket. The show is gonna just be about 50 minutes to an hour, and we just ask that you listen for that much time, and then afterwards we'll all snuggle and talk and share food and maybe play some more music. But for the first part, we're just going to enjoy the music. I think the last thing is to thank our beautiful hosts, Randy and Rosalie and John and Maya. Thanks for letting us be in your backyard and for bringing chairs, even though I was like, no, we don't need chairs. And they're like, we're gonna do it anyways. It's perfect. And to our friend Chuck and his wife Janet, who came to visit just for this performance. Chuck is the builder of this banjo.
Wow.
And he came to see how it sounded live. So far, so good. Thank you everyone for coming, and please enjoy the show. Welcome Dan Sherrill to the stage.
Wow, thanks Jackie. You didn't have to do that, That was great. Wow, thanks everybody for coming out. This is the first solo concert I think I've done in, maybe 10, 12 years as well. And to do it with a banjo, especially one with such beautiful craftsmanship, is a pleasure. So a little story before I start with the first tune. So all these songs that you're going to hear, it's basically going to be in order of the album. And how I arrange these songs, so usually old-time traditional music has an A part and a B part. And I do that, I play the A parts and B parts for each of these songs, but I also wrote a harmony. And the intention was to record the harmony over top of the first A part, but they were so nice in their own right that they're now 4-part old-timey songs. Which makes them really difficult, so I'm gonna do my best. This first one is called Quincy Dillon's High D Tune. Can you hear it? Is it on? some family that came in from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Boulder, Colorado yesterday to come celebrate this. And I don't know, Sydney, where were you?
Where was I?
Tampa Bay.
Detroit.
Detroit. Nice. This next tune, so I learned all these, a handful of these songs when I used to live in Portland. So I've been playing guitar since I was around 10 years old, but banjo came into my life when I was like 20 years old. I'm 35 now, and I've been playing it for like 15 years or so, but I haven't been playing clawhammer I've been playing clawhammer for maybe 10 years. Because when I first started, I read everything from a book, and it just said thumb and index finger. So I just was picking things like this. And it's beautiful in its own right, but then I played it for somebody who knew how to play clawhammer. And I told them that I was learning clawhammer, and they were like, "You're not actually learning clawhammer." And I said, "Teach me the ways, please." So they showed me that it was bum diddy bum diddy bum diddy bum diddy bum diddy. I was like, "Oh yeah, all right, cool." And then, I learned a bunch of these tunes. I had this book in the library, and I learned a bunch of these songs. And this next one is one of the first ones that I learned. It's called "Over the Waterfall," and all this music comes from, the southeastern U.S., Virginia. There's a little town called Galax, which there's a riff named after this town. It's almost like as if Ashland had a riff, which would probably be like or some Shakespearean thing. If Ashland had a riff, maybe we should write an Ashland riff and make it well known. But the Galax riff, which is from Virginia, that's it. It's just a chord that has 3 notes in it. And this song has it all over. You'll hear it throughout the A parts and the B parts too. It's called the Galax. This tune is called "Over the Waterfall." Thank you very much. I love that song. So in the process of recording this album, it's difficult to record an album. I know there's plenty of musicians in the audience that have released music, and if you haven't released music, it's quite an effort to not only write the music, but also arrange it and then record it, and then the whole business side of it. And this is exactly what I wanted for this little party, is like word of mouth. You know, I did put up posters and like post on the internet thing, but like to have hey Maddie, to have everybody. I know almost everybody here, and as I was sitting there warming up, I was like, oh man, it's hard to play for everybody that you know. Sometimes it's easier to play for strangers, but I feel really comfortable. I feel great. Thanks, John, and thanks, Randy and Rosalie, for having me up here. This next tune, I recorded a video at B&R Auto Wrecking in Medford, which has this tower of vehicles. It's probably 150 cars. If you drive into Crater Lake and you pass, you go on the expressway, you see this tower of like a monument to very, very used cars. And I was like, oh, that would be an interesting place to play a banjo or any music really. But I went to their office and I walked in and I was like, they're probably gonna think I'm a weirdo. But I led with, hi, my name's Dan and I'm a banjo player. And immediately they were like, what? It wasn't like, hey, I need a rotary girder for my 10-ton truck or something. Oh. Anyways, they were really kind, actually, extremely kind. They were like, yeah, you can come back and can you send me the video when you're done? So I have to email the guy. His name's Cody. But this is the tune we recorded there. It's called Frosty Morning, and it was a bit of a frosty morning that morning. And this tuning, so banjos go through a lot of different tunings too, and this one is more what they call modal tuning, which there's a pretty clear tonal center, but generally this is more of a minor feel for banjo music. This one's called Frosty Morning. Thank you. So this banjo, when it came into my life, I have a different banjo, but this one has this amazing story that we're going to hear about after this next song. And when I got it, it had steel strings on it, which banjos, modern banjos typically have steel strings on it. And this one probably sounds different to a lot of people. This banjo has nylon strings on it, which gives it a little more tubby, soft, kind of like... Like what? Yeah, yeah. Chubby, soft, beautiful. I love you, Fable, so much. He's so cute. Oh my gosh. He's gonna be tired of the banjo for sure.
Or he'll learn.
But anyways, the banjo is an African instrument, and the origins of it are, it was a gourd, a drum with strings on it. And through the wildness that is being a human being on this planet, the banjo migrated to the southeastern U.S. and it became part of the American cultural heritage of old-time traditional music. But what I love about this banjo is how it kind of has that feel of a very old instrument. But you can do, with harmony, with different harmonies, you can make something old feel new and interesting. And this next tune, I think, is part of that. It's called Cumberland Gap, and it's in the lexicon of old-timey music. It's one of the most popular tunes. And when I learned it, the melody is just so, repetitive and hypnotic and meditative. It's so easy to get lost in this tune. I'm also going to sing part of this. I'm not going to sing the original Cumberland Gap, but the melody just plays in my head over and over and over again. And at this point, Fable was still in the womb, and so I wrote. I'll play the A and the B part, A, the B, the C, and the D part for this tune, and then I'll sing kind of a Father's Day song about becoming a papa and how much Jackie and I love Fable so much. So this is called Cumberland Gap and then / Father's Day song. Bright sun in the summer, down by the water. Gonna be a father to a son or a daughter. And if it is a son it'll be. The merry, merry king of the bush is he. And if it is a daughter, asleep in a sack, the peach pie, puppy eye, knick-knack, paddywhack. And when it's all done, the creek and the river, third in the sand, arrow in the quiver. And my sweet little babe, sweet little mama, got Papa happy dappy with a son or a daughter. And the ones that we missed, the ones that were laid in a little forest meadow in the creek in the shade.
Chuck's going to tell us about this banjo. See all of Dan's friends and family here. Chuck Waldman and friend, longtime friend of Randy and Rosalie Maple, and had this wonderful request a year or so ago. So want to make a banjo for our young friend who's a really good player up here in Ashland. I heard them once in the Apache band. Yeah, no, not Apache, but a band of Apaches, and knew he was good. So it was an honor to come with something. Been building banjo a long time, most of my life, starting about 13. Breaks for a number of other things happened along the way, but about 15 or so years ago, I decided to start building them more seriously. And my goal was to, just like Dan mentioned, the banjo has these African roots which had been forgotten until recently. And I wanted to kind of bring the banjo back down, which was kind of the modern version that evolved around 1900, and carry it back to the African American roots that were pretty much the only roots until the 1840s, when the white population started picking it up, which is unfortunately in the form of the minstrel show era, which is now mostly forgotten, thank goodness, but it did introduce the banjo to a lot of people, and eventually these Irish, Scottish immigrants' tunes are being played on this most African but mostly American instrument, because actually the idea came from Africa, bound up in the bottom of ships. And almost immediately, banjo started taking form. First in Haiti, and then in the U.S., or the colonies, not U.S. yet, and evolved from a three-stringed instrument with gourds, a stick with three strings, clove hitched off, one drone string. The conting is probably the most commonly known one, still being played, still being made in West Africa. And it's just a lovely sound, but I can't play. The gourds are very awkward to play, and I grew up playing steel string bands, so I want to have something that sounded like a gourd, and it's more like what the folks started calling frame banjos. They went from gourds and could acquire a grain sifter or something like that, or a mercantile, a pre-made hoop that was cheap. And often get a broken one. The screen was broken. It used to, sift the rocks and bugs out of your grain before you ate it, and put a stick on it just like a gourd, and you had a banjo, a frame banjo versus gourd banjo. But I love that sound, and so I just gradually started experimenting with different woods and different sound chambers to help kind of travel back towards the gourd and the African American roots, demetalize the banjo, get as much wood as possible. This particular wood has a great story. This tree grew up along Yellow Creek, which is somewhere on the highway between Yoncalla and Elkton, north of Roseburg. and a friend of ours in that area salvaged it when it fell down finally after 200 some odd years. It had already been labeled as a heritage oak by the state of Oregon because it was just the most magnificent specimen of a claro oak. Plus a little bit mystery because the claro is native to California. It's not one of the native black oaks in Oregon. But those are also beautiful. But the claro has some nice richness to it. So I had a few pieces left from this fellow that I purchased from a few years earlier, and was able to get at least the rim made out of it, and then added again approached the gourd. I've been experimenting with softer woods up under the head. So this has California redwood up there, kind of like a redwood top, finger style guitar, instead of what had been traditionally just all kinds of metal, more metal, and or else very heavy woods. And I think the beautiful sound of the original hauntings and these gourd banjos that is from that nice spongy gourd, just airy wood full of resonance, and each one's a little different. So I'm trying to get there. I think we're getting there, and thank goodness that someone like Dan has skills to bring something out of it that way beyond my dreams. It's back to it.
He's also a boat builder too, if anybody needs a boat.
I'll be tired.
Yeah, so that's why the record is called From a Heritage Tree, because this thing was forged from this 275-year-old tree that was blown down in Roseburg. When was that blown down, do you know? Within the last 10 years, wow. Fascinating story. Man, I'm grateful, very grateful to be able to play this and carry on that legacy. Got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 tunes left. This next tune is called Fortune. It's another very well-known tune within the old-timey lexicon. When I learned this, I learned it from the book, but I heard it. There's a banjo player named Adam Hurt, and if you like what I'm playing, you're gonna love him even more. This dude is amazing, absolutely amazing on the banjo. What he does, he plays a gourd banjo. And if you look up Adam Hurt, the album that I would encourage you to listen to is called Earth Tones, and he paired with a luthier in his I think is some town in Virginia with a gourd banjo. And this album, the first tune is Fortune, and it's just amazing. So this is my rendition of Fortune. Again, it has the A, B, C, D with the harmony parts. Thank you very much. This next tune is called Billy in the Low Ground. And whenever I think about playing this song, the name Billy reminds me of when I was like 8 years old. The only time I've ever been punched in the face. I was playing, I don't know exactly what happened, but we were playing tackle football, which we weren't allowed to do at East Brandywine Wallace Elementary School, which Jackie and I were at the same elementary school when we were 10. So maybe I was, 8, 9, or 10 years old. We were playing tackle football because whatever, that's what we did. And we weren't allowed to. And the play happened, and I put the ball down where I thought it was supposed to be spotted. And Billy came up to me and he goes, "That's not where it goes, Dan." And I go, "But I think that's where I was tackled." And he picked it up and moved it back. And I was like, huh. And I picked it up and put it back to where it was supposed to be. And as I was walking away, he grabbed me by my shoulder. It was a total sucker punch. Grabbed me by my shoulder and knocked me right in the face and broke my nose. And blood was like streaming down my face. And then he put me in a headlock, and I pushed him off me. And then I hear the teacher blow the whistle really loud. Because somebody probably said, "Oh, the boys are fighting." And I was crying probably, looking down at my shoes, blood dripping all over my shirt. And we go up and we go to the principal's office, and I'm there with Billy King. And that's what I think about when I play this song.
Take that, Billy.
I'm sure he's a nice guy with a family now, for sure.
You never know.
Happy Father's Day, Billy.
Living in the low ground. Living it up in the low ground.
Probably because we were playing football in the low ground where the teachers couldn't see us. But I never played tackle football again. They were so mad at us for playing tackle football. Man, it kind of ruined my life, to be honest. They were so pissed at us. I felt like whenever I went to school after that, I felt like scared. I felt like I was having an ulcer. I remember being 10 years old and being like, Mom, I think I have an ulcer. She's like, how do you even know what an ulcer is? I go, I don't know, I'm nervous all the time to go to school. I was really nervous to go to school. That was an intense period. Anyways. I didn't know I was going to say this. So sometimes these strings, I actually want to knock on wood, because sometimes these strings break easily. But Chuck's here, so I feel really confident about it. Because he has got another banjo in the back that's just exactly like this one. So it does break. I have an immediate replacement.
We'll just take happy thoughts.
Yeah. This next tune, I don't really know much about it, other than I know how to play it a little bit. It's called Road to Malvern, and it's an A. So with that tune, Jackie's heard that song maybe 650,000 times. And when I play it, she like goes around the house and she goes, she does all these little dances, which she was kind of doing right here, and I got totally distracted by it, which is a great thing. banjo jokes out there, and one of them is like just how hard it is to tune a banjo, and that's not even a joke. That's just like a real thing. You don't even need a banjo joke to talk about how hard it is to tune. Probably because it is a drum, and drums, like many, skin instruments, isn't a skin. It's a synthetic, but it fluctuates with wind and rain and breath and humidity and energy, stuff like that. And not only that, banjos have a lot of different tunings. Guitars, they have a lot of different tunings too, but usually keeping it standard. Maybe you'll go gravitate towards something exotic, like dadgad or something like that. But tuning is a fun thing. Tuning's really fun. But I'll tell you a banjo joke. How do you know when a banjo player's at your door? They can't find the key and they don't know when to come in. Yeah. Anyhow, this one's called Salt Creek. Thank you. As I started to arrange all these songs, and I realized that I was going to do a harmony and I wasn't going to play them over one another, they got a little adventurous, which is how it came from. Because that doesn't harmonize with the A part at all, or the B part. It's these weird chords that I got a little more adventurous with the harmony on. I think I'm going to sing one. Yeah, I'll sing one. This is next one also kind of, this one is not in the album. The album is full on instrumental, so you can do it while doing, listen to it while doing crossword puzzles. There's no words to distract you. Or you can read a book while doing it. At least for me, when I listen to music with words, I just immediately cannot do what I'm doing currently at the time. But this tune is called Easy to Fall in Love, and it's, when I play this song, I think about the first time Jackie fell in love with me. Where did she go? Ah, there she is. Madame, you're up on the balcony. I didn't actually fall in love with her. She fell in love with me first, and we were both 10 years old. And how easy it is to fall in love when you were 10 years old, maybe 8 even. At least for me, it was just like, oh, I have a crush on her this week. And then they either broke up with me, even though we weren't together, and then I had a crush on somebody else, and they had a crush. It was like this funny thing. So I wanted to write a song about how easy it was to fall in love, and how there's a lyric in the song that goes, it's so easy to lose your mind when you fall in love. So we all try to do it as often as we can, if we can find the time. Which, let's find the time. And as easy as it is to fall in love, it's easy to break the heart. So, and to mend the heart. So easy to break a heart when we fall in love. It's so easy to mend a heart after we fall in love. So we all do it as often as we can, if we can find the time. And it's so easy to fall in love for the very first time. Like the wind and the rain, they celebrate. Hip, hip, hooray. And it's so easy to lose your mind when we fall in love. So we all do it as often as we can, if we can find the time. Like a bitter fruit or a toxic herb slashed across your tongue. And it's so easy to mend a heart after we fall in love. So we all can do it as often as we can, if we can find the time. A little shorty. Got 2 more tones for you, and then we're just gonna chill, hang out on the grass. Jackie mentioned snuggling, which could be part of it. Yeah, I'll do this one, then I'll do one more, kind of quasi-instrumental one. So I also, I also play this banjo in a trio. Which, does anybody know Mihal Palsevich? Yeah, nice. He and I, and Reed Bentley, which I think he's here somewhere in the back there. Yes, Reed's here too. We play that song that I just played in that group. And this next tune I'm gonna do. Dad brain.
Happy Father's Day, Dan.
Thanks.
It's Dan's first one.
It's my first Father's Day today. I don't really know what it means. I guess it's just like, you get to nap during the day?
Yep.
Because that's what happens. Anyways, we play this in the trio, and it's called New American Flag, and of course it's really easy to sing along. It's just New American Flag over and over again. So if you feel inclined to sing, please do. Hallelujah, I can hear the people's voice at last. We must resist the hate and violence that plagued our diseased past. To raise the new American flag, American flag, the new American flag, the new American flag, the new American flag, the new American flag. Hallelujah, I can hear the people's voice at last. We must resist the hate and violence that plagued our diseased past. To raise a new American flag, American flag, the new American flag, the new American flag, the new American flag, the new American flag. Hallelujah, I can hear the people's voice at last. We must resist the hate and the violence that plagued our diseased past. To raise a new American flag, American flag, the new American flag, the new American flag, the new American flag, the new American flag. Thank you very much. I got one more tune for you guys. Thank you so much for coming out and helping me celebrate this. It really means a lot to me. I'll take this moment as long as I am alive. This is really special. I know a lot of people out there. Some of my students are out there too. It's really an amazing what music does and how it brings people together. It's a very special thing, and I'm gonna take this with me for a long time. So thank you everybody for coming from far and wide. My family.
Thank you for playing.
Yeah. I'll leave you with one story because it's going to take me that long to tune this thing. I'll leave you with one story. I played, not this banjo, but I played a different banjo in the Rogue Valley Symphony. And forgive me if you've already heard this story. But my family hasn't heard it, and I want them to hear it. So I was invited to go play the Rogue Valley Symphony banjo part, which was like a picked banjo part. So sometimes banjos are played with a pick, and usually those banjos are 4-string. So you have room, and you don't have this kind of cumbersome fifth string to mess around with on the pick. But I played a 5-string banjo because I didn't have a 4-string banjo. And I arrived to the first rehearsal. It was a Gershwin piece, and my part was pretty easy, but you know, I had to count like 145 rests or something. And it was just like 1, 2, 3. Luckily, I knew the music a little bit, and I was like, all right, when the violins go, that's when I need to like look at the conductor, because it's gonna be a solo. Like I'm gonna solo in front of all these musicians. So when I first get there, I go into the rehearsal space. It's at SOU at the recital hall. And I go in and I talk to the stage manager, and I kind of dressed up a little bit, kind of like what I look like now.
Did you have shoes on?
Maybe, yeah, I had shoes on. Not these distracting, I realized after I put them on this morning, distracting socks. So I get there and I talk to the stage manager, and the stage manager says, oh, your seat's right here in between the violas and the cellos. So I was like, sweet, my seat. I sit down, and the viola is next to me, walks in, and he gives me this like, kind of like, why are you here look? And the cellist sees that I'm playing a banjo, and he leans over and he says, you know, I don't like the banjo. I go, lovely to meet you too, friend. And so that's the first introduction I have to the symphony thing. And what I learned later, I played at the Shakespeare Festival, and our seats were like, there were still only 6 people in our orchestra, and so the seats were like, oh, that's where you sit. There were no like guest musicians, right? And I was this guest musician, and I was like, all right, this guy to the right of me doesn't like me, and this guy to the left of me doesn't like my instrument. So, okay, I better hit this part really, really, really well. So we start the Gershwin piece, and it's amazingly beautiful. I've never sat in the middle of an orchestra before. It's like strings around me, pianos and celestes and harps and big timpanis and stuff like that, and it's amazing to be washed in this sound. And it gets to my part, and I'm like, all right, gets to my part, and it's a really simple melody, and I nail it, I crush it out of the park, and it's perfect. And the conductor, which is I think high praise in an orchestra, just says good job and moves on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And so we do these concerts. It's a weekend thing, so we did Friday, Saturday, Sunday concerts. And at the end of it, the dude to my left, the cellist, and he looks at me after the last performance, and he goes, you know, I still don't like the banjo, but I like you, and I like how you play your banjo. So that to me was like a win for the banjo and for also my self-esteem, to be able to convert a classical musician to liking a non-classical instrument. Anyways, this is the last song. It's called Deal 'Em Out, Sam. I'm gonna sing a little bit in it. It's the last song on the album. Thanks everybody for coming out. I'll be hanging out for a while afterwards too, so thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Shuffling song, shuffle my cards all night long. Shuffling song, shuffle my cards all night long. Who's there? Deal 'em out, Sam, deal 'em out, George. Who's there? Put your hands in your pants and you don't ask why. Jackie wrote those lyrics. Shuffle my cards all night long. Shuffling song, shuffle my cards all night long. Who's there? Deal 'em out, Sam, deal 'em out, George. Who's there? It's an all-night party and you don't ask why. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very, 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 very much. That's all I got for you. Thanks so much. The albums, if you are interested, are near the door. We have got a lot of drinks and stuff in that little box or basket. Bucket. Yeah, we got a lot of drinks in that little bucket. Anyways, thank you, Randy and Rosalie, for having me. Thank you, Chuck, for making this banjo.
My honor.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, everybody.